Hello and welcome everybody back to another video. I'm your SimCA5, it means I'm your flight instructor for any simulator purposes. If you have questions about Microsoft, P3D, or DCS, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer it. Instead, I also fly the CRJ 900 in real life, so if you have questions on the 900 or how to get started in real life, please leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer that as well. So this works for 2020 and it works for 24. The list of features are endless, really, for this one. It's been so much improved with new flex temperature stuff, engine start times, control feeling. You can leave all your yoke settings at default now. Climb rates, time to climb, descent drag, landing flare, adverse yaw, and the trim has been massively improved as well. So this will be a great new addition to your hangar. You can even see the flap speeds as well have been adjusted, how long they take alongside of spoiler time and aileron. So let's get into this video, guys. So we're sat here in the flight deck of the RJ900. I kind of just set some stuff up, nothing crazy. We're not going to go on an actual full flight. I just want to highlight some of the new features that this airplane brings. So the first one I'm going to show you is the takeoff. The takeoff has been massively improved, and in terms of, there's many things actually. I'll start off with the rudder / nose steering. So if you use a rudder pedals like I do for also your tiller control, your nose steering control, which I think most people do in the simulator world, below 45 knots ground speed, the airplane is going to be quite sensitive or able to be steered and taxied with minimal control. But once you pass 45 knots, which is usually our max exit speed as well, once you pass 45 knots, the nose steering is going to be significantly dampened. So let me go ahead and show you. This is the nose steering. If I'll increase thrust. Actually, that's a new thing as well. I'll turn the parking brake off, and at idle thrust, the airplane will start to roll as well, as long as you're under 76,000 pounds, somewhere around there. Anyways, let me increase. We're at only a ground speed of 3 or 4 right now. So I can taxi nice and simply. But if I go ahead and increase my thrust a bit more, and we'll get above 45 knots. There's 30, 45. Now I'm going to show you what full right rudder does at 45. Look how much more. That's full, right? That's doing a lot of rudder pressure, which we obviously wouldn't do. But if you were to do that in the V2 or the V1 as well, you would be skidding all over the place. So this controls are significantly dampened. Also to that end, you can see I'm overheating my brakes. So they've modeled this quite well in the terms of the CRJ 900 brakes are crazy sensitive. They only really need tippy toe pressure, and you're going to start slowing down. Like if you do a little bit more, if you're all 5 toes per foot or on that, you're going to feel a jolt in the back of your head because it will stop. The steel brakes are very effective, and if you guys are not used to the new braking, all you have to do if you have overheated brakes is go to the iPad, aircraft, place, and we'll reset the brake temp. Obviously, you don't want to get them hot, so for the brakes, if you look at the rudder pedal, literally that much. That's all you're really going to need. You don't need full brake, just a little bit, and that'll get it stopped. So I'll show you guys the takeoff now. We're in toga thrust. Again, nothing is set up properly, so don't mind the warnings and all that stuff. But you'll notice that once you have your correct aileron and rudder input for the wind, it stays nice and true, and you'll have to make corrections for that. Approaching V1 rotate, you put about half yoke pressure in. The airplane's going to start to lift off the ground, and as it starts to come up, keep adding a little bit more pressure, and you're going to notice the airplane just nicely lift off the ground. No more of that airplane sticking in ground effect type of thing. And a very quick peek at a work in progress is we have the setup for a cross bleed start off the left engine with the APU off, which also worked before, but what I'm trying to show is the N1 and N2 values have been adjusted on startup. So you got about 45 to 50 seconds for an engine start. You'll also notice that the N1 won't start spinning until about 30-35 N2, which is very realistic, and it kind of keeps you on your toes in case of a hung start in real life as well. And that's all been modeled as well. The ITT and some other numbers won't be correct, but as I said, that's a work in progress, but will be in the newest update. Okay, so we've climbed up a little bit, and not quite to the max this airplane can go, but just to show you, the descent drag has been increased or decreased as well. Side note, before I show you that, the time to climb has been adjusted in real life from an 80,000 pound takeoff from 0 to 33-ish thousand, feet, 35 area. It takes about 21 to 25 minutes, give or take, on the day to get finally up there. You'll notice that in real life as well, once you pass 28 to 29,000 feet, even when you pass 31,600 as well with climb 7.7, the airplane will start to struggle a little bit, and it'll get about 5 to 1,000 feet per minute, anywhere kind of in there, sometimes even lower, sometimes even higher, depending on atmosphere and your configuration that day. So although this airplane can get to 41,000 feet, it can only reach 41,000 feet if you're 65,000 pounds and under comfortably and stay there. So don't just think you can make it there. It struggles quite high, actually. So that has been modeled in the sim and is correctly represented, I should say. Now I'm going to show you the descent. So we're going to go 5,000 feet's been bugged up, and we're going to go with vertical speed 3,000 feet per minute. I go idle thrust. And you'll notice this airplane is a lot less draggy than before. Before my other videos, if you saw, we needed thrust to keep 290. Not anymore. Now with 3,000 idle thrust, the airplane holds its 290. Some actually times, and even in real life as well, it might even accelerate. And if you're going to need the wing and cowl anti-ice on, it might be even harder to slow down. So you'll have to start planning that into your descent. Let's go down to 12,000 feet, and I'll show you the 12 at 12 rule of thumb. Alright, so we're coming up on 12,000 feet. We're going to start scrolling to 1,200 feet per minute. So 12 at 12, 12,000 feet, 1,200 a minute. We're going to bug 250 knots. And the airplane's going to start nicely slowing down for 10,000 feet, 250 knots. If you need spoiler, feel free. The spoilers are there to be used. I wouldn't use them just yet, though. Wait till you get closer to 10. And if you're hovering on the 260, 270 mark around 10,600, then I'd add your full spoiler in there. But for now, you can just let the airplane nicely decelerate. This is also, I believe, going to be adjusted later as the N1 is idling a little high. I don't know if that'll make the initial update or come out later, or maybe even 24, as the engine parameters are really hard to adjust for 2020, I've been told. And you can see we're just going to touch 10,000 feet. Might even need a bit of thrust, which happens in real life as well. I noticed my spoilers were slightly out there. They're about this much out. I left it by accident there in that little descent there. But even without spoiler, I'm sure it would have made it just fine. And it's close enough. In real life, it doesn't happen all the time. That's why it's a rule of thumb. So that's been massively improved as well. And I'm just loving this, guys. Alright guys, so I just spawned on final. I want to quickly talk about what has been done to this airplane in the final approach. There's a lot of moving parts that have been done here. Me and Groval have worked extensively together. Sometimes 3M for him, sometimes 3M for me, on a Discord call, and literally fix this, sends a new file, update the flight model, fly it, fix this, update the flight model, fix this, and we just went back and forth. I probably have about 70 flight model configs that I've deleted. And engine configs I deleted to get to this point. What you're going to notice on final with the default yoke settings, default rudder settings, and default brake settings, the controls are a lot more, not sluggish, not really delayed in effect, but the control input actually takes effect. It almost feels like when you roll to the right, for example, you can almost feel this aileron, coming up, which is dropping that wind, which in turn starts the airplane to roll. And instead of the last version where it was an immediate input, it actually feels like it has a little bit of inertia and weight in the air, if that makes sense. I'm also going to preface this with this being a desktop simulator. No sim, I don't care if it's X-plane or whatever, no sim will ever be as close to the plane as possible, because the real plane is the real plane, and even other real planes fly differently to the other real planes because they're all banged up in different sorts of ways. But and to more that point, the CAE sims we train on, the flight models there will get you the techniques, but they won't still be close enough to the real one. However, in saying that, I think this is as good as you can possibly get in 2020. And I believe that Groval and I will still be making improvements to this as well. Keep in mind, it does work on 2024 as well. And 2024, I've been told, allows Groval to do a lot more physics tweaking and tuning and a little bit extra settings. So we'll be kind of making, I would assume, I can't say this for sure, but I would assume they will be going ahead and making a 24 version specifically with the updated flight model for that one as well. Although this is coming out for both sims, we're going to fine-tune the other one as well. So let's go ahead and fly this airplane here. And you're going to get a don't sink warning because I spawned in the air. But notice if I just start adding aileron in here, this is full right aileron, full left aileron. Notice how sluggish that is, and that's how the airplane really is. The 900, it seems like a small airplane, but it's quite still sluggish in what it can do. And you'll notice there's a lot more adverse yaw. So to actually roll this airplane properly, if you need to make big banks like that, is you're going to be using your rudder pedal as well. So if you're going to be rolling to the right rudder, right aileron, left rudder, left aileron, and they work together to combat the adverse yaw that can happen from it. The trim has been significantly improved as well. Let me pause this right here so I can talk about this. It took quite a while to get this airplane without breaking the other things like climb rate and takeoff and flap 45 drag and all sorts of stuff. It took a lot of work to get this airplane to have a 3-degree glide slope at a 2.5 or 3 nose up angle, which is what the airplane lands at because of these leading edge slats here. Roughly 6 to 8 degrees in the trim, somewhere around there, depending on weight, is kind of where you're going to be hanging around. The power is still work in progress. It should be a little lower, but it's still okay. And having that rudder sensitivity where in the air and on landing it's nice and you can use it for wind, and on after you land you're below 45 knots, it picks up so you can actually steer with the nose, with the actual nose of steering. As I said, most people do that in the simulator world, as I do myself because I don't have a tiller. So it took a lot of effort to get to this point where I would give Gravel the go ahead and say, that's pretty good. I would go ahead and release that one. And so all the movements I'm doing on the yoke, if I go ahead and pause again, the movements we do in real world, they're not kind of this smooth, like, we don't really fly the airplane like this where it's nice and smooth. It's more of jabs. And you can go watch shorts and CRJ landing videos, that kind of thing. Even the 7.3 looks like they land kind of the same way or fly it the same way. The reason is in the real world, this yoke is so stiff. If you do this and let go, it snaps to the center. It's very quick. So it's also a bit snappier and quicker to react. If you need to follow the flight director or stay on a path, you can just kind of tap it down. Because if you hold that pressure in, by the time all that happens, it's going too quick. You're going to miss out. So these kind of nice little pitch jab that we do, almost like a boxer, you know, how quick they punch, you know, 1-2. That's how we fly the airplane, and you can fly it like that in the sim now, and it replicates it quite well. So that's all I'll be doing. I'll try to zoom out maybe, and I can show you my yoke here.
Don't sink. 100. Don't sink. 50, 40, 30. Don't sink. 10.
Okay guys, well with that, we're going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you know there's been a lot of love and care that's been put into this airplane by myself, Gravel, and the rest of the CRJ beta team as well, including Hans as well, who's still working on logic and system stuff. This airplane to me feels so much better. Gravel did a great job at interpolating what I was saying and how the airplane should feel and different performance gates it should be able to meet and things like that, and we put it right in the sim quite flawlessly and very quickly, I might add. So we'll watch this landing. I hope you guys liked it. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video, and happy landings.